Hello, my name is David Rock. I'm going to talk about influencing others. As a leader and as a manager, it's very important that we maximize our capacity to influence other people. The Integrate model shows us that minimizing danger and maximizing reward is an organizing principle of the brain. The brain as a network can be in any of these two states, minimize danger, maximize reward, at any moment. We know that which state you're in has a dramatic impact on your capacity to do good work. Being in the maximize reward state is also known as engagement in the workforce. Engaged employees are far more productive than disengaged employees. For leaders and managers who want to influence others, their job is to find just the right levers to move people into that maximize reward state. Leaders tend to know all about the carrot and stick. They use money and other external rewards to try to motivate people. Turns out there are often far more powerful rewards and threats going on inside people's heads that are generating their behavior. So if you want to be the best that you can be at influencing others, you need to better understand what makes people tick. Into brain-based research. Brain research is now providing us with a far more sophisticated understanding of what really drives behavior. I've woven together hundreds of studies into a model that summarizes this idea, which I call SCARF. It stands for status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. These 5 elements are environmental factors that the brain is monitoring, mostly below conscious awareness. These factors have a tremendous impact on our motivation, on whether we are in that reward state or that danger state. Let's go through each of the elements of the SCARF model now with just 1 or 2 brain science examples and 1 or 2 examples of the implications for each factor as well. The first element is status. Status is your perception of where you are in relation to people around you. Let's look at what the science tells us. We know that when you experience a drop in status, brain networks light up just the same as when you experience physical pain. We also know that when you experience an increase in status, it activates a reward circuit, just the same as if you've received a monetary reward. Studies have shown that an increase in status generates more of a response than if you've experienced a monetary reward. Status is an extremely important driver of behavior. Giving feedback is one of the hardest things to do in the workplace. If you give someone feedback, for example, and tell them what they could be doing better, people will often argue because it is a threat to their status. When we give someone feedback, they'll actually respond as if their life was threatened. The response will be an unconscious response. One way to get around this is to allow people to give feedback to themselves. Get people to ask questions about themselves and tell you what they think. And this way their status actually goes up rather than feeling threatened. The second element of the SCARF model is certainty. We know from brain studies that ambiguity of any kind generates a danger response. The brain is a certainty-creating machine, always trying to predict what's going to happen next. When we provide really clear expectation about what is going to happen or what we expect from people, it provides far more certainty. Many managers and leaders forget this. In a merger situation, for example, when there is a lot of uncertainty about what role people may have, or even if they have a job, just giving people a date by when you can give them more information reduces uncertainty. Again, you are moving people toward that reward state. The third element of the SCARF model is autonomy. We know from brain studies that when people experience a stressor and they feel they have no control, no choice, no autonomy, the stress level is dramatically higher. Conversely, we know that when you're in a stressful situation and you find some degree of control, some feeling of choice, some autonomy in the situation, then the level of stress comes down dramatically. People need to know they have choices, even when they feel that there aren't any choices. The fourth element of the SCARF model is relatedness. We know that when you meet new people, your brain detects an automatic threat. For example, when you go to a party, you may not know anyone there. You feel very uncomfortable until you've been introduced to just 2 or 3 people. Your stress levels come down dramatically. What's going on here? Well, the brain perceives people that we've not connected with as a threat. Once we bond with someone, which can be as simple as a conversation, a handshake, a sharing, we generate in that moment what's called an oxytocin response. That sense of bonding puts people in a category of like us in the brain rather than not like us. This is very important as it generates this perception of friend versus foe. In working in organisations, it has a lot of implications. Let's talk about one. If you're working in teams, especially virtual teams, or teams where people may be from different cultures, we may need to actively create this bonding experience to create common ground. Otherwise, people may automatically be in that foe state, in that state of thinking someone is outside their group. The fifth and final element of the SCARF model is fairness. The brain science is very clear here. A fair exchange activates the reward circuitry. An unfair exchange generates a danger response. There are many implications for this. Given that lots of people automatically err on the side of the danger response, it's very important for leaders to be clear about treating people fairly and being open and obvious about this. This may mean providing a deep perception of fairness, being very transparent, more than may seem necessary at times. Many managers, particularly new managers, often threaten people in 4 or even 5 of the elements of SCARF. They create a danger response. Firstly, the manager feels they know how to do the job well, so they give lots of feedback about what the other person should do differently. The person feels that as a threat to their status. Secondly, they don't understand the importance of clear expectations, so managers may not generate that sense of certainty. Thirdly, new managers often micromanage, thus not giving the person that sense of autonomy. And fourthly, new managers often don't connect with people on a human level, concerned about feeling too close. And finally, they don't understand the importance of a sense of fairness. They keep things quite secret. So many managers accidentally create a threat response in 4 or all 5 of these elements. And you end up with people who function at far less of their capacity than they could. Many managers are well-meaning, they don't realise that they're impacting these elements subconsciously. Let's look at the opposite of this. What is it like when you work with someone who shows you what is great about yourself, increasing your status, who provides really clear expectations, who lets you make decisions? And what if they all trust you and there is a human bond created between you? And finally, what if they treat you fairly and you know that they are fair? You practically want to marry the person. You'll do anything for them. Now, what is happening is that managers understand how people tick. They're doing things that will generate the reward state, literally making people smarter, more effective, more engaged, and more productive in the workplace.